it's Amanda Moxley, and today I want to talk to you about the number one thing you must do if you want to be $1 million speaker, author, and coach. Okay, this is huge. I want you guys to go ahead and hit the like button, hit the love button. I want to know where you're watching from. I'm going to tell you the number one thing. So here's the deal, you guys. How many of you, hold on, just wait for it. How many of you guys have a goal of creating a $1 million business? Just say yes. Maybe some of you are like, no, that's way too big, or oh, that's too small. How many of you actually have a goal to start a $1 million business? You better have big goals to have a $1 million business or thereabouts, because it's about impact. It's about how many people you're actually going to impact with your message. So let's talk about the number one thing. So whatever your goal is, maybe your goal isn't to have a $1 million business. Maybe it's to get your first 6 figures. Maybe it's to get your first 10 clients at 10,000. I don't know. What is your goal? Put it in the chat. So here is the number one thing you have to do. It's a 2-step thing. Okay. It's like, first thing is you have to identify with that identity of who you're being. You need to understand old you, new you. The old you, the way you show up, the way you think, the way you act, the way you speak, the words you choose, the actions you choose, that you have to identify old you, new you. The new you, and you have to die to your old self. That old life, those old thoughts, those old feelings, those old beliefs, those old loops, those old patterns. Like, do you ever, I had an experience recently where I found myself just getting sick of myself. And that happens regularly. I get really sick of myself and I just want to hit the pause on my brain because I overthink a lot, and I overthink and I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Am I the only one that does that? And so it's about really clearly identifying old you and creating a vision, painting a vision, a powerful vision, plastering that vision on the canvas of your mind of who you want to become, who is that you at that next level version of you. And having that vision absolutely crystal clear down to your image, your emotions, your actions, reactions, your present day, your to-do list, everything. And so that's important. And how do you do this? I'm going to give you the golden nugget. The one thing that you must do in order to actually do all that is you have to make a decision. And with every single moment, you're at war with who you were yesterday. You're at war with, basically when you wake up in the morning, that's a decision. Are you going to hit snooze, or are you going to rise and shine at that time? So you have to make a decision that you are going to become this person. And you make this decision not out of anxious, flying off the cliff with your hair in the air, but you're actually making the decision based on who you're going to become, but rooted and grounded in trust. We do not walk by sight, we walk by faith. So you're walking through trust, and as you let go of one trapeze bar and you're curling through mid-air, and you see that next trapeze bar after you've let go and you've made that leap, a lot of times that's where people I see, they make an investment, they make a decision, but then mid-air is when the freak out happens. Am I talking to anyone today? So you have this freak out in the middle where you're like, what did I do? And you go back to doubt. And you want to go back. You want to go back to the comfort of that one trapeze bar. And you want to go back to the comfort and the ease and how it was. And I've done this so many times where like you will have burned, you'll die to one way, and then your new way hasn't exactly adjusted to your vision yet. And you want to go back and you think, okay, well, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have been so bold and courageous and jumped off the cliff. I should go back to where I was. But the truth is you can't go back. 2005, I was a yoga teacher. And then in 2006, I quit my job as a social worker. I had the safety net. I was about to take over my mom's business as a therapist. And at that time, I kept that license going for many, many years, probably 8 years, 10 years. Because I was like, well, if it doesn't work being a coach, author, speaker, then I can go back. I could go back to the safety of having a job, working as a therapist. And then one year I just decided, hey, I have more faith in where I'm heading and where I've been than the desire to go back to the safety net. So what about you guys? Like, you have to burn the ships on old you, die to that old you, and that faith that you have of burning off the back will propel you to the future. So what I noticed was that another time when I then was a yoga teacher, and I went into 2012 and in 2012 I made a decision. I cannot go into 2012 when I had already reached 6 figures in my business as a health coach. And I said, it is out of alignment for me to ask people to pay me $10,000 and as a health coach, or $5,000 as a health coach, and I'm being paid $55 an hour as a yoga teacher. It is not in alignment for me to go spend my time. And when you broke it down, because you had to be there 3 hours, it was $17 an hour, I think. So it was out of alignment. It wasn't congruent for me to continue to teach yoga and then ask people on a sales call, hey, it's $5,000 to work with me for these 3 months as a health coach. So then a couple years later, I wanted to go back. I was like, well, remember, that was how I got clients, and I loved teaching yoga. I wanted to go back. But the problem is that you can't go back. You have to really powerfully go forward. And that requires you to keep deciding and deciding and deciding every day, with every breath, with every, exhale, and with every choice. You're more committed and loyal to your vision and loyal to your goal than you are to your past, even though your present reality may not look like what you want. So there's a really good example. I read the Bible every day. I have read it for the last year, and there's some great wisdom in there, tons of wisdom and revelation. And so today I was reading about Abraham. Now I went to Catholic school for 13 years. I never read the Bible. I never understood. We would act out plays about like Isaac and Abraham is gonna like sacrifice his son, but then the lamb comes. I mean, we acted these things out. I never knew Abraham until this morning. Well, until this last year. So this guy, like literally, I think he was 90, and God promised him, he's like, you are going to have a baby with your wife, Sarah. And Sarah was like 90 also. Sarah, Abraham, they're 90 dudes. Okay, then Sarah was not able to have a child. They had faith, man. And that is what being an entrepreneur does for us, we have to have ruthless faith. So what Abraham, he never doubted God that he would fulfill his promise. He consistently trusted God. His faith was strengthened in the obstacles he faced. And his life was an example of faith in action. I mean, this is a guy that God promised, I'm going to give you numerous, as many stars there are in the sky, that is going to be your people. And like Abraham, this was before the Bible, like Abraham was connected to God, connected to that, to God in such a big way. And here we are, we have a lot of resources to connect. And yet I want to have faith like Abraham. So he said, his life was an example of faith in action. Okay. If he had only looked at his resources and his reality, he would have given up in despair. How many of us as entrepreneurs give up in despair and look at, your current reality and think, oh, I can't do it. It's not working. The clients I'm not getting booked to speak. Only one person showed up on my live stream, but who cares? I keep going. Okay. So you can't, or your bank account is lower. Your funds aren't matching your vision. So if he had only looked at his resources and reality, he would have given up in despair. But Abraham looked to God and obeyed him and waited for God to fulfill his word. So, whatever your beliefs are, whatever it is, entrepreneurship, creating $1 million business, creating anything that is worthwhile requires a tremendous amount of faith. Faith backed by decision, decisive energy, deciding day by day by day to become this new next level you. So my little homework assignment for y'all is to get out a piece of paper. At the top of your paper, you're going to say your name at whatever it is your goal is. So if your goal is $50,000 months, then write, your name at $50,000 months. or maybe it's $10,000 months. I remember when that was my goal, right? And then you get there and then you're like, wait, I need more. So anyway, so you write it and then you write, so in my case, Amanda at 100K months is, and then, okay, so then you write on the piece of paper and then you do is down one side and is not. So you've got is not, and then write, like I did this morning, it's fresh out of the journs. So I invite you guys to do this for yourself. Who is she? Who is she not? So I just had someone step into, this is really fresh because I just had someone to step into coaching with me. And it is not, like I do have lower level, awesome, digestible ways to work with me now that I have launched my new book. I call it Six Figure Speaker, how to reach more, live more, and make more. You guys can get that. I'll pop the link in. But this happens, okay? So even for you guys who have your own clients, you know what it's like to release and to invest in yourself. And you got to hold space for your clients to release and invest in working with you as well. And so this happens because people, when they're saying yes to that next level of hiring you, they are dying to their old way and they are stepping into who they want to become. And who they want to become is scary. And that's when the mental chatter happens. So the key for you here is you have to embody and become that next level you so that you can be a great resource, a great container, a great holder for your people's vision. The people who want to hire you, you have to know what it feels like to go over that line. And then you also have to help them do the same. And that's how you're going to make $1 million in your business as a speaker, an author, and a coach. So if you guys are watching the replay, let me know. I want to hear how this resonated with you guys. And the key here is to actually act from this and walk out who she is and stop doing who she or he is not. Okay? Thank you so much for being here, and get the book. It's only $5.90. And once you apply what's in there, it's going to really support you to be on your way to making that six-figure income as a speaker. Okay? Talk to you soon. Bye.